Hello from Atlanta TV. This is King Cool. Welcome to the Toast Reviews. Let's just get right to it. Today on the show we're watching Ultraviolet, which I drew out of the penalty box because I forgot to put that episode up. And today we have regular white bread. Here we go. Okay. There's only a small complement of movies that my brother saw in a theater that I didn't. You know, we would most of the time go together. Sometimes we wouldn't. Because I wouldn't feel good, he'd be hanging out with his group of friends that I didn't know as well, or something, you know. Or one time we went to see Revenge of the Sith, and wasn't there, and we were like, okay, well, we could either stay for this, we could stay for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we could stay for The Honeymooners. And I'm like, neither of those sound any good. My brother was like, I guess I'll stay for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And I'm like, oh God, no way. So, that's one that he's seen that I haven't. Slowly those are getting whittled away as I watch them. And one of them was Ultraviolet, and he told me it's like Ultraviolet is just unbelievably bad. And I'm like, I don't really see how that's possible. I mean, you saw Equilibrium. I mean, Equilibrium was pretty sweet. Like, dude, you have no idea until you see it. And that's one of the reasons why I eventually made it into the penalty box, because it's not very well reviewed, and I hadn't seen it. And at his recommendation, he's like, dude, that's got to be in there. So now I've seen it. And oh boy, I really didn't believe him until now, until I saw it. This movie is completely ridiculous, just unbelievable. And here's the thing, like, okay, Milla Jovovich as a tough girl action thing, it's like, yeah, we have this in Resident Evil. And okay, I don't really like the Resident Evil movies, but she has never been the problem with those movies, for me. At least. What are you doing over here? Get back in there. Get your head in the game. She's never been the problem for me for those movies. But in this one, she absolutely typifies a 90s comic book heroine who is, you know, tough, but simultaneously sometimes very tender, to make her basically like the icy woman that you could never touch as a comic book writer, but also somehow also your mother. Because she's like, oh, I can somehow be tender and whatever. But also, I will, my loyalties will change at a moment's notice because women are capricious, right? Oh man, like she's just and she works for some shadow agency for something that is just never quite made clear. And she's powerful in some way that is not really delineated. They have all these measures that they do. To like, they pull blood out of her. She's a vampire. They pull blood out of her and she's like, okay, she's not a vampire. It's like, how the hell did she fool that thing? They say, oh, she must have used a gobbledygook something or other. What? That doesn't explain it. You just said, you might as well have said she might have used a blood machine, something blood. Oh, so she has this package, it turns to this little kid, and he's like, oh, this kid, his blood could be used to make a disease that would kill all us whatchamacallits. And it's like, okay, that's fine, but why, I thought that they had the vampires on the run, which is weird because catching the vampire thing is so easy. If you get like a teeny bit of blood like on your cheek, it's just going to immediately burrow into your skin and be like, hey, here we go. Oh, come on. Ugh. Ugh. You know what? Hang on. What else can we do? I have more to say. Oh, I don't even know. Friggin', like, okay, I got some problems with this story and whatnot. I know what I'm gonna do. But somebody's gonna be like, well, it's just a thing, have fun, whatever. It's like, for a movie that was at least trying to be as meaningful as Equilibrium, for the follow-up for that to just be like, oh, just turn off your brain and whatever, that would be ridiculous. No, there's a lot of alleged metaphor grinding here. People ever used to do this, like, in my generation? I saw this in, like, cartoons and stuff. And this was back in the day when people smoked. I don't want to eat that carbon on that toast, but let me get my smoking on. But so, okay, fine. The plot doesn't make a teeny bit of sense, but it's just if the action wasn't good. The action in this movie is terrible. The only one that's kind of cool is when she apparently activates the event horizon that lives inside her belt, and then she can change her personal gravity. And it's like, it would have been nice if it was the only one I watched something else that sort of explained it in that sense. Would I get, oh, okay, she has a little fusion reactor or a sun or something inside her belt that creates a lot of gravity or something, and then she gets to do some gravity grav. So, I'm making a big mess. And the only one that is even at least passable is the one where she's on the motorcycle riding up the buildings. But the CGI for this movie is really bad, and I'm like, well, how much did they have? They only had 30 million. I'm like, that's pretty skinny for a movie that's this trying to do this much. I gotta get these crumbs out of here. But then it's like, well, how much did the Equilibrium cost? A movie without a gads of CGI and just had like sets and things and just, you know, dealt with its limitations. The Equilibrium cost 20 million. So what this movie is this movie is an utter, total overreach. He's like, okay, Equilibrium did good on things, so we'll give you another chance, Kurt Wimmer. And he's like, oh yes, I'm going. I have no idea if he's actually German, if he's American with a German last name, but whatever. He's like, oh, I want to make this big thing with this, and I want to have Milla Jovovich, and I'm going to do this and that. It is a complete overreach. He just could not handle, apparently, not doing this movie next. Well, this one he should have had a lot more cash. But, you know, it's also like, more than a couple times he just shamelessly rips off The Matrix. I get it, The Matrix is important, but it's not, maybe, it can't just be me, is it? I mean, I love The Matrix, it's my favorite movie of all time, but like she goes up and she gets scanned, and like, number of hidden weapons, many. It's like, yes, that is exactly like the scene of The Matrix. And the one scene where she beats up everyone with a case is pretty much exactly, not in choreography wise, but it's pretty much exactly what happens in the first scene with Trinity. And, like, I tell you, you never know what's going on in this movie because people's motivations are never clear. We end one scene where friggin', we end this scene where, the two bad guys, like the two, thugs and Milla Jovovich are in the same scene. They all leave, like, she chases them. And the next scene is her at a graveyard and something or other, and then they're there too, and it's like, wait, we have the same characters in the scene, there's no transitional scene. It's like, the reason my brother said he would not be interested in watching an R-rated cut of this is he's like, well, what's the point? What did they cut out? They certainly didn't cut out the good action. So yeah, this movie is dreadful. Oh, it would take me longer to do it, but I'm out of time. So thank you all for watching. You'll see what I got up to next week, hopefully. And thank you for waiting for this one. Please drive home safe.